During the 40 years I drove trucks, I spent a hell of a lot of time driving that type of truck. The bulk tipper trailer, this 3-axle unit and the 3-axle trailer. And I never ever tipped one over because I was always very careful and very aware that if you tip them over, that's what happens. Crash. That one's gone over on its side, look. So, when I worked for Dixon's at Derby, there was a young cocky driver tipping scrap metal one day. The ground wasn't level and he started to put the body up like that, just starting to go up, and it was leaning over, and I thought, oh my God. And I saw it start to go, and it was fortunate that the scrap metal he had inside moved and it righted itself. So I said to him, you should be careful, mate, that could have tipped over then. When you're tipping these things, you need to be on level ground. He says, I know what I'm doing, okay? I thought, okay, you get on with it. I walked away from him. Then, about a week or so later, the boss sent us from a scrapyard near Derby to a steelworks in North Wales. It had been snowing and I was taking it easy because the road was not too bad, like, you know, but I thought I won't charge along. I'm lighting a fag up, and this young driver went charging past me on the way to Stoke-on-Trent, snow flying everywhere. I thought, yeah, you get on with it, mate. And he perhaps he stopped for breakfast, or he got held up, because when I arrived at the steelworks in North Wales, he had just got there, or he'd been waiting in the queue, and it was his turn to tip the scrap metal out of his trailer, like that, moving his finger out of the way. And I sat watching him, and the ground was not level. I thought, oh dear, I know what's going to happen here. And work at the steelworks said to me, if he don't watch it, he's going to tip that over. I said, well, I tried to tell him the other day, mate, but he more or less told me to mind my own business, so I'm saying nothing. And I turned and looked away, and then of course I had to look again, and he put the body up higher and higher and higher, leaning right over, and over it went crash, like that. Come on, truck net, what's happened? Like that. Tipped the lot over, the cab, the trailer and everything. And I didn't say anything. I backed up while he stood watching, and I chose a level piece of ground. I tipped the body so far up and then shunted it back and jammed the brakes on, and the scrap metal inside slid down the back, and then I tipped it up, and that was it. The load was gone. And I drove back to Derby. The following day, the boss, Oscar Dixon, said, you were there, Arthur, when this clown was tipping, weren't you? I said, yes, I was, Oscar. He says, and what happened? Well, the bloke weren't there, like, you know, he was in the yard. Oscar told him to clear off down into the yard. He said, I'll speak to you later. And he said, and what happened? I said, well, I could tell you, Oscar, but I don't want to drop him in it. He said, Arthur, you're experienced. You were there. Tell me exactly what happened. So I did. I said, I tried to tell him a few weeks ago that he needed to be careful and make sure he's on level ground, but he more or less told me to mind my own business. And yesterday, he was tipping up. He said, why didn't you stop him? I said, what, Oscar? I said, he told me to more or less mind my own business. I said, so I did. And it turned over. He says, so in your opinion he was to blame? I says, completely. So he sacked him. And down at the yard, I was talking to a few of the drivers, and this young driver came over to me. He said to me, thanks a lot, mate, I've lost my job now. I says, well, it's your fault, mate. And another one of the drivers says, fuck off. And he did. He walked off, and I never saw him again. So, you know, I mean, I know a lot of you have been accused of being an old fart, but I was experienced, and I knew what I was doing. I tried to advise the young driver, and he didn't want to take my advice, and he ended up tipping the lot over like that. Yeah, experience counts for a lot. Okay.